How's my hair look?
Looks fine, Josh.
I'm a deeper.
At least you have hair.
Can we put that in the podcast? It's the Series Futsal Podcast. I'm joined here with my co-host, Ethan Stone, the man behind the action, the camera. Ethan, thanks for joining me back in the podcast.
No problem. It's always a pleasure to come on this show. We always love seeing what has happened over the past week. We've had a bit of time off to sort of relax, rewind, sort of catch up with everything that we've missed throughout the season. But I think everyone's refreshed and ready to get roaring back in this Friday and Sunday evenings.
Well, it's one of the biggest, Fridays in the season because so much is on the line. And we'll obviously get into that, but just to run down, it's Pascoe Vale taking on Moreland, and if Moreland win, it's almost guaranteed. Not quite, but they will take home a title, provided nothing changes throughout the rest of the season. Fitzroy are looking like they're coming back slowly, but they take on Western United, their former foe this season, who's the only time Western United has beaten Fitzroy was earlier this season. So this is kind of a revenge tour for that Fitzroy side. They need to get some points on the board, show that they are still the team to beat.
Correct, and especially considering the form that Western United have sort of found a little bit, not playing their best football at the moment, but a win like this, to go 2-0 up against a team that they hadn't beaten in so long, would be a massive confidence booster for them. But there's plenty of good action. Even at the bottom of the table, we have Hume playing Carlton Hart. Refreshed, who's going to win that game? If Carlton win it, they're back in a chance to stay up in SFE. If Hume win, they can extend their lead, put a gap what might be insurmountable to overcome for Carlton.
And Carlton's gone through a few changes as well. We'll talk about that as we go on. But first topic of discussion, let's just go through last week's results, because there were some absolute beauties.
Oh, we had a great game on Friday nights through the three of them. They were all sort of... One, obviously, was a bit more of a blowout than others, but they were interesting games to say the least. We found some really interesting futsal come around. Game one, if I remember, it was Fitzroy.
Yeah, it was a big game. I'll tell you why it's a big game, because Christian Peluso, who recently transferred from the team he just played, Melbourne Arcus, who they played, jumps across to the big juggernauts and puts a hat-trick past his former side. Oh,
it was great to see. An 8-2 victory in the case for Fitzroy against Arcu. It sort of was a turning of the tides for Fitzroy. They'd been struggling the last couple of weeks. We heard from their coach, I always forget his name. Jimmy Soufas. Sorry, Jimmy. Sorry, I forgot your name. We heard Jimmy that there was going to be changes. He showed us the changes he brought in, and it looked like a different side from what they performed the last couple of weeks. Reinvigorated, bit of new sort of energy, new sort of faces into the squad. What did help it, obviously their old faces, like your Scott Rogans, your Harry Robotis, were still there, still scoring, but to see Christian Peluso coming at his old team, score a hat-trick, and he celebrated too. He wasn't behind it, but I like that. As much as you pay respect to your old club, I think you got to show excitement for scoring goals. That's what we're here to see.
No, he's a showman, and I think, to be honest with you, I like the drive that he has. It is tough to jump across when you've been with a team for so long and you're one of the foundations of a team, but at the same time, this is a guy who wants to win. And Fitzroy isn't exactly a team that he's winning right now, sitting closer to third.
I think they're at third at the moment, yes.
So he that's a challenge for him. It's not like it's an easy jump across. There is definitely something to do, and if he, all luck to him, he could be a difference in this Fitzroy side towards the second half of the season.
Yeah, and you always want to go to a club that's going to give you a bigger chance to compete. Obviously, when you go to these big clubs, they see you almost get put on a bigger pedestal.
Yes.
To show that the talent you can provide. And he showed it. He scored those 3 goals. They weren't like tapping goals. They were nice bits of play here and there.
He was in the right place at the right time. He definitely tapped in a couple.
Tapped in 1 or 2,
but flawless in terms of his execution of that, you got to be there to score the goals. He fit into the system well. Like, he looked like he was quite comfortable in Fitzroy colours. So, really good performance from Peluso. It's going to be a bit of sweet for the Arcu side, and I think we saw that in the interview. They kind of still spoke about the connection that the two partners have, Arcu and Peluso. He's a big part. He's a friend off the court, but at the same time, he wants to win.
Yes.
And he's showing it. I'm really excited to see what he brings.
And we saw some other acquisitions that Fitzroy brought out this game. We didn't get to see Javara at all. He wasn't able to play, but we did get to see Yanni Pira and Aaron Yu in goals.
Not you.
What do we think of Aaron's performance in his first game?
Listen, Aaron. Look, I think Aaron knew. He didn't have to be the best he's ever been. He got the job done. He did extremely well. He does what Aaron does. He keeps goals out of the net. You know what I mean? And he is. When you have someone like that behind you, it really takes a lot of the pressure off a lot of the Fitzroy players because they know, okay, well, if this shot's coming at Aaron, it's probably not going to go in. Time and time again, we see Aaron be a focal point of a team. He was a sensational part of Western United's squad. And obviously, again, it's a challenge here. He's probably thinking to himself, hey, I've completed my challenge, or the direction that Western United want to take is not simultaneous with my own. So Fitzroy at the moment is the prize for him, trying to take that team back to the top. It's a big challenge, but he's a bigger player. So
yeah, and especially in the game, he looked a bit nervous early on. You could see there was a bit of nerves, and then moving to a club, you don't know what to expect. But I think once he made that first save, he really sort of came into his own skin and was able to provide big saves. He was being a leader from that back. He was making calls for the players on the bench when they were there. It was really good to see, and I hope that this is a good partnership that him and Fitzroy have, because he is such a tremendous goalkeeper, one of the best that we have in SFV, and to see what he can do at a Fitzroy to help them come back. Because I think you said third. I think they're in fourth at the moment. Because I think Pasco are just above them by 1 point.
Yeah.
But it's really interesting to see how they're going to go the rest of the season. But moving on to Aku, they've made one big trade to bring into their team. They've acquired Oscar Yee from Pasco Vale, which is a nice bit of talent to help at least replace Christian Peluso.
Look, Oscar's a very good player going forward. He's a young player. He has a lot to improve, and I think Aku is a great situation to improve for a young player. You get a lot of opportunity, a lot of game time, and I really rate what Kui does and his demeanour.
There's a reason he's such a good coach.
There's a reason you picked him as your
exactly.
coach in your team. He's, I think when you look at him on the sideline, it just screams, I'm in control of the situation. And that doesn't necessarily have to translate to winning every single game, but it's just the demeanour of, hey, we're going to do what we do. We do it to the best extent that we can, and we take it game week by game week.
And he's very composed there. He's one of the managers / coaches we see that doesn't have many big outbursts. He sort of not keeps to himself, but he's very calm and collected, the way he likes to play football. And that's a good place to at least grow these young talent and provide them. Hopefully Oscar can go in a position, maybe a leadership position, and try and help develop his leadership skills as well as playing, and hopefully can lead him to stay up, because they've played some good football at times. Obviously wasn't their best game against Fitzroy, but they've got plenty of promise in that squad. And hopefully he can fill the big shoes he's got to fill for Christian leaving.
Yeah, big shoes. He's a big part of the team. Him, Fernandez, Ma, these guys come up together from the championship. They know how to play with each other. Christian's obviously one of those, again, I called it last week, Showtime players. He's a player that really steps up in the big occasions. He thrives for it. So if you're going to get that from Oscar Yee or not, that's waiting to be seen.
Yeah. We'll go look at the next game. It was actually probably the game of the round. I thought it was a really interesting battle. Western United came over, got the Chockies in the end against Hume 4-2. But Hume's starting to find some form at the moment. They looked really promising. Some new acquisitions they've already signed since the break, but they're looking like they could be turning the tide and trying to play some good football and get some more wins on the board this season.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Hume, again, this is always kind of the case with that club. They start off very slow. And it's been like that case for a few seasons now, and they kind of get into it as the season progresses. I think Adam Cole, being on the sideline with his squad and being able to implement his vision, that was obviously skewed at the start of the season. He wasn't allowed on the sideline for specific reasons, and that's since passed over. He's now on the bench. He's giving them a voice. They don't play the most attractive brand of futsal, let's be real, but they get the job done and they put pressure on top sides.
Well, I think when I was watching that game on Friday night, I'm going to forget his name, the big guy for Hume.
Ramadan.
He was impressive. I thought he is a big body that you do not want to come up against. Because I feel like if you're getting a dribbling battle with him, he's an out body you and get straight past you. He's got good speed for his size too.
There was actually one moment in the game where I think we were all on the sideline in awe. He just dribbled past 2 or 3 players by ball rolling, and they couldn't get near him. He just has to put an arm out like this, and they've been pushed off. You can't get close to that bloke.
He was very impressive, and it looks like they're turning the corner. And they've gone out and targeted some players here.
Yes, this is a big deal.
This is a big deal. So first of all, they targeted Hazma Suede. Is that how I said it?
Hamza,
Sorry, Hamza. They're targeting from Fitzroy.
Yep.
Nice acquisition for Hume to give a bit more star talent into their squad. Nice little pickup. And then they've gone and targeted Jordan Guerrero, Anthony Haddad, and Jamie Did. Yes. All Futsal or fringe Futsal players.
Basically, yeah.
These are massive acquisitions for a Hume team who want to win. Yeah. They're here to win.
It's very surprising that approach to go out and poach those players, because obviously they're interstate players. They're not people that are local from around here. So I'm wondering what the statement is there. Again, you're going to say it's, hey, we want to go out and win. Maybe it's a case of, hey, let's bring these players in, see what they can offer in the background as well. Maybe some training sessions, or
yes.
You don't actually know what the full intent of that move is. But at the same time, that's going to bring quality. They're going to come up against some good sides. They need to beat Carlton this week. Yes. So we'll be very interested to see if they play. And then obviously they have another game against Moreland, Fitzroy and Western. So if they pick up some points there, it could dramatically change the league standing.
Especially the way they went against Western United. Having these players come in, obviously we saw what happened the first time they brought international talent and interstate talent. Obviously it didn't pay off. But the second game it did.
Yeah.
But I think if you bring them in against these big clubs such as your Moreland, your Fitzroy, even Pascoe Vale, and you have these players come into the squad, the way they're competing at the moment, I wouldn't be surprised they can catch a couple of points there.
Exactly. And the great thing is about this league now, compared to previous seasons, you don't have to win the game to affect the league. If you draw the game, if you're playing against a Moreland, a Fitzroy, a Western, and they pick up a draw, it's devastating. Really.
Yeah, even though it's only 1 point for you, it's only 1 point for the other. They've just lost out on 2 points there. That's a 2-point jump that a Western United and a Pascoe Vale or even Fitzroy can then gain.
This is traditionally a league when you lose 2 games, you're out of the title. So this is why, if they bring these players, could you imagine Hume picks up a point or even a victory against Moreland?
Imagine Moreland dropping their first points to Hume.
In the Turkish derby as well.
What a story that would be.
Look, Moreland are a phenomenal side, and they are deep too. But when you have players of this quality come in, all play together, you don't know. And they've just brought in a new goalkeeper as well. I think he's also from New South Wales.
Yes,
Catarambas or something like that. He's this great goalkeeper, great with his feet. He actually made the team of the week last week, despite being on the losing effort. So that really shows you the type of performance he's able to bring to a Hume side.
He looked really strong in goals too. Like, he made some massive saves against Western United. Western United at points were just pumping at the goals, and he was able to stay composed. And in what could have been a 8-2 loss, ended up being a 4-2 loss. And I think that's a win for Hume. Obviously, they weren't able to get any points, but to be able to compete for so long against a team such as Western United is such a confidence booster for the players, knowing we can compete with some of the best in this league. So let's keep going, keep working, and maybe we can pick up some points against these guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that really sums up that the biggest game of the round in terms of quality. And then there was that final game, which I believe was it no, it wasn't Moreland.
No, it was Carlton and Pascoe Vale. Should we move on to them? Because,
well, it was a game.
Pascoe continue to prove their dominance. They showed why they were able to beat Fitzroy, and are playing some really fun and great futsal to watch as a viewer. 10-1 victory over Carlton. A lot of goals.
It's a lot of goals, man. It was a game. They scored. They did well. It's a game they're expected to win comfortably. They won comfortably. Can't give them too much credit for that.
Yeah.
This is the week where you really have to put eyes on Pascoe Vale and say, hey, it's yours for the taking. If you want to be them, you've done it against Fitzroy. Now you have to do it against the league's best.
Well, obviously they've lost Oscar Yee, who did score a brace against Carlton. So one player goes out, but hopefully it's not going to be too much of a detriment to them. They can continue playing the futsal that we've been seeing from them the last couple of weeks. And I believe losing one play isn't the end of the world. They are able to hopefully have someone to fill that void, even though he wasn't one of their star players. He was a good player, good depth player, so good to see that. But Carlton, I think we're going to talk about Carlton at the moment.
There's so many moments from that game. I mean, this is the worst part. The thing that stands out to me the most was on the sideline with Tim Harris they were losing,
That
and
half
he just
time.
really let off a few fumes with that squad, said a few unsavoury things, and you can definitely see there's a lack of harmony, a lack of concord in that Carlton team list.
Yes, and we've seen what has then happened since that game to now. Obviously, Tim Harris has been let go by the club. I think it was a mutual.
They say mutually
agreed on.
Agreed to leave or part ways. So
Tom Harris has also apparently left after his red card outburst as well.
yeah, that was an interesting red card. Probably not necessary. I think Newen got him early in a sneaky way, and it just. By the time you look at the result, you look at the moment in the game, it was too much pressure for him.
So it's sad to see those two go. Obviously, performance.
Yeah.
Tom was such a great goal scorer for Carlton. And then Tim obviously wasn't able to get the results that Carlton were hoping for to come up this season. But could this then be a change? New coach, obviously they can put someone new up front. Is it possibly a changing for Carlton this season? Can they turn it around, or is it time to maybe say, pack up, just get ready for the championship next season?
It's too early to say that. This week will determine, because they still have a chance. They can do it. They have to beat Arcu. They have to beat Hume.
It's only 3 points between them and Hume too. It's one game.
And hey, if you pick up a point somewhere else, you've been blessed. But that's not realistic at this stage for Carlton to pick up a point against Baskerville, Western, Moreland or Fitzroy. It's just very improbable. But, I'm not saying it's impossible, but very improbable, very unlikely.
And you do see when new coaches come into, they have it happens in all sports, that they have 1 or 2 games, a new coach comes in, everyone's excited, they get a bit of sort of all riled up, they have 1 or 2 really good games where they can get those wins. And then it's sort of a confidence booster. They're one game away from going, this is the futsal we need to be playing, what can we do here, and where can we go from that? They just need to get a result. And their best chance this week against Hume.
Absolutely. I think, if you're Carlton, maybe you look at rebuild, going with younger talent. I think Alex LaRocca should be one of your main pieces.
Yes.
DeWood as well. What a player.
He's
what a young
star.
Player. Yeah. You see the energy, you see the heart.
Yeah. You build around those two players, LaRocca and what was his name again? DeWood. You build around those two young players who show the skills that they can do it at the top level. Try and build a core around them. And who knows what can happen. Yeah,
you've got Mathuram in goal as well. He's a young up-and-coming keeper. We'll see how he develops. And then maybe if you're Carlton, you're looking around the league and you think to yourself, okay, well, Fitzroy's just picked up 3 or 4 players. Maybe we can go back, we can poach
one of their
Matt
players.
Cruz, we can poach so many players there that are on the fringe, because it is still a star squad, Fitzroy, but there's a lot of young players there. Maybe they try and pick up someone from there. Maybe they try and pick up someone from Arcu. They try and pick up someone from another player. But Baskerville has a lot of young players, and they have a lot of, I would call it, developing squad. Like they have a lot of star players that come in and out. They have young players that get minutes sometimes, that don't get minutes in other games. So there's a lot of room for opportunity if you're a young futsal player and you want to prove yourself in Series Futsal, to go to Carlton and maybe say, hey, this is my journey. This is my task. Let me try and prove myself. Okay, so here's what we're going to do now. We're going to go into this week. We're going to talk about the games. I want to hear your predictions on what's going to happen, because it's a shaky round. It's obviously a very vital, important round, and everything matters. From every single game, you have obviously Hume and Carlton, Baskerville and Moreland, Fitzroy, Western United.
It's going to shape up the league table as we're going to see it now, especially Fitzroy, Pasco. Those two teams wanting to get up the table. We'll start off with Western United and Fitzroy. I think is that the opener for the round, I believe?
I think it is.
Yes, looking at the table here, it is the opener. 2nd v 4th. I don't think we've ever seen Fitzroy be as low as 4th in a
very long
while.
time. Years, yeah.
Well,
maybe at the start of the season, who knows?
I think it's going to be a cracker. This is going to be a barn burner of a game. Western United and Fitzroy both trying to get back to the best form they've seen. We've seen them in. They haven't been great as a form. Fitzroy come back this week, last game, and looked really good. I'm going to go Fitzroy. I think especially what I saw last week was really good to see them come out and play the futsal we know they can play. They came out, were aggressive, scored a lot of goals, what we'd like to see. But I don't think it's going to be a back and forth goal scoring game. We're 2 good goalkeepers in the net. We're going to see the debut of Tyler Lewis to see how he goes.
Will we see the debut, though? That's the question, because If you're Fernando de Moraes, you're the coach of West United, do you automatically give him that spot?
That
You've
is
got,
true.
You've got your young guy there who's
He
stuck by your
he
club.
Well, but that could be interesting to see. Could we see another debut? Obviously, we saw Aaron Yu in goals last week. He's coming up against his old club. That could be a very interesting battle in itself.
Yeah, there's actually so much I like. I'm going to have to go for Fitzroy as well.
I'm a Fitzroy.
Aaron Yu is going to provide so much for Fitzroy in the back. It's going to be difficult for Western
I'd love
to
to
score.
see in a perfect world, I want to see an Elias Parthamos penalty taken against Aaron Yu and see what happens. That's what I want to see.
It's spicy. Look, I'll say this though. I'll say this much. If Western United come out and Western United beat Fitzroy, undeniably they're the better team. Undeniably.
Yes. Well, they're going to have a guaranteed 2-1 at least over the series season. What could be very interesting. But let's move on to game 2. What is another barn burner? Pascoe Vale, probably one of the most informed teams in the comp at the moment.
Yeah.
Minus Moreland. They're playing Moreland. 2 most informed teams. Could we see an upset here?
It's the battle of the egos as well, I say, because both clubs do not want to lose this game. If you're Pascoe Vale, this is the last hump to get over before you can call yourself a top side. You have to beat at least every team in the league if you want to be a top side. Be able to. And they haven't been able to beat Moreland.
No, they haven't.
Or come close, by the way. Now, obviously, you look at the first game, a lot of things could have changed. Maybe a goal goes in earlier. Everything, falls into place for Pascoe Vale, but didn't. So we're coming into this game. Arturo Diaz will be back, so that's the difference.
Arturo was a massive factor in that game last week. He probably had the almost goal of the season, I think it was too.
The almost goal of the season. Play that right now, Joshua Fusco. Play that. Look at this strike. It's off the volley, and it's just...
If that went in, I was behind the camera. I was about to lose my shit. It was unbelievable. But you can see how much of a difference he is to the squad. Look, if they are fully healthy and have Arturo, have Nguyen, they have their stars all playing, I wouldn't be surprised to see a draw. I'm going to go for a draw this round. I think Moreland are going to drop their first points, not in a loss, in a draw.
That's very interesting. That's the first time I think someone's predicted a draw. I think that's a totally fair result. I think, personally, from what I've seen from Moreland this season, I don't think they'll take the foot off the gas. They'll come into this game with even more intensity, knowing how much it means to the title race.
They're both rested too. All the teams will be rested and fresh.
You will see who's sharper. That's the other question. Who will be more sharp? I think it really depends. It's very difficult. I'm going to have to go Moreland as well. Not as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm going to go for Moreland. Very close game. They'll concede at least 3.
Yeah, okay.
6-3.
Yeah, I like that.
No, not 6-3.
Oh.
Not 6-3. 5-3. Yeah, 5-3.
I'm going to go with 3-3 draw.
Wow.
3-3 draw. I'm going there.
And then have final game. This is also a big game.
This is a great round. I'm already loving the round that we're living up to. Well done, Commissioner. That's the only praise you're getting this whole podcast. Don't expect any more. We've got Hume versus Carlton. Obviously, we're going to see a new Carlton squad, new coach, hopefully a rejuvenated squad. Hume playing some great football. Are we going to see the new acquisitions possibly playing this game? If Hume can win, it looks like they're going to at least go into a playoff and be safe of that automatic relegation. Yeah. If Carlton going to win, it puts a lot more pressure on Hume. I think this is the game with the most on the line for both teams. It is, absolutely. If again, like you said, if Carlton win it, it's almost going down to the final day. Or that's actually not true because Hume really, they do look quite good and they could pick up a point. But just for all intents and purposes and just to make it more dramatic, let's just make it dramatic. Yes, if they lose that game, it's going to the final day. I'm gonna go for Hume here. I'm gonna say that Hume, so long as they don't have an absolute collapse like last time, 6-1. I think Carlton are going to come out strong. Obviously, new play style, new system. Hopefully, I'm going to go 5-2. I think 5-2. They're going to score some goals. I still think Carlton at points have looked good enough to compete. Yeah, but they haven't been able to put a whole game together. I think it's going to be the same issue. Hume are too composed. They've got some well-experienced players, and I think that's going to be, in the end, they're going to be able to extend that gap from the relegation zone.
Yeah, completely valid. Completely valid. So we'll move on now to the next part of this segment.
WSV.
Women's Series Futsal. Just to overview the games last week, we'll go bang rapid fire.
Let's go.
This was such a great game.
Great round for just comp, yeah. I think, in general.
Yes.
We had Western United drew to Carlton Heart 2-2.
And honestly, Carlton Heart looked the better team. I got to say it. No Reece Interisi, Beck Cadwell coaching that side to a 3-3 draw. No Beck Davies. So, there was a bit of missing for Western United. Well, yeah, and the question has to be asked, why wasn't she playing? Maybe resting?
Maybe possible injury, who knows? Next one, we've got Melbourne AKU defeated Eastern 1-0, 7-2.
That's what they do.
They got that depth and talent throughout the squad. You know what they can do. But you look at the next game, Fitzroy drawing and dropping points to Thornbury in a 1-1 draw. Obviously no Friscalzo.
No Friscalzo.
No Friscalzo?
No, they got Friscalzo that game.
She did play?
She did play. Just to put it, she did play.
Oh, my apologies. I wasn't there, so I thought she didn't play. I thought they were already in the plane. But they had a 1-1 draw. And then finally, Heidelberg, they defeated Northern Phoenix 4-2.
Yes, and another great game. So let's back it up a bit to that Fitzroy-Thornbury game, because you look at a result like that and you're thinking to yourself, surely Thornbury just parked the bus. Yes, they did. It was an absolute park the bus job there from Thornbury, but
it's points.
They got the points. They fought with such heart. I mean, it was actually one of the best games I've ever witnessed in terms of the intensity of the stadium, the atmosphere. If you dropped a pin, you'd hear it.
Yeah, wow.
No, I'm serious. There were so many moments in that game where you think to yourself, if that had gone another way, it would have changed everything. Fitzroy would have scored earlier. They might have come back and won the game. There was the possible handball. I'll put it up here now. Possible handball. They're not quite sure. In the comments section, I put up a post saying, was this a handball?
I did see that.
50-50 split. Referee said, no go. Play on. So I do want to know everyone's thoughts on that still.
Put it down in the comments below.
Was that a handball? Personally, I don't think it was. And I think that it's almost impossible to tell unless you're witnessing it with your eyes. Because what people don't get as well is the camera distorts your perception.
Hard to see from a far angle.
Depending on the lens, depending on how far you are, something that looks like it's touching, if you look at it from a different angle, it might not be touching.
Maybe if we had a better cameraman, it might have been shown a bit more.
Maybe we had a better cameraman. But at the same time, so it's actually quite very difficult to correctly point out if it was a handball or not. It's actually all opinion, so there's no point arguing on it. When I was watching in game, it didn't look like it. Looks like it hit her chest and misses the hand. But you could definitely make the argument it hits her hand.
Again, the referee's got the final decision. It's always a tough one. We see it all the time. Could have brushed it, could have not. You just sort of got to go with it.
Yeah.
Obviously, Fitzroy would have been a bit more livid about the decision, but sometimes you can't change those decisions. But it's going to make it even harder for now Western United or Fitzroy to chase Aku, who are already at the top of the table, already had a bit of a buffer. It's just getting bigger now. And then Melbourne Aku had a 7-2 victory over Eastern 1-0. Jess Howe with a hat-trick. She played. Good way to get some momentum boost going into the World Cup.
Qualifiers, yeah.
Great performance from them.
They do what they do.
You expect what they expect. They're such an experienced team. They know what you're going to get from them. And they've now they've put that gap further away from Western United and Fitzroy. Yes. That buffer is a lot bigger. It's almost theirs now to lose.
Well, it's very close. Look, this is not Series Futsal. This is, where there's two teams and then you drop a game. This has consistently been the most entertaining league, in my opinion. It's always been Women's Series Futsal.
There's a lot closer of a gap between top and bottom.
Yes.
But it's what you like to see. But I thought we'd just jump on the last game. We had Heidelberg versus Northern Phoenix. After the praise we gave them the week before, I wasn't here for this game, so I haven't been able to watch the game in full yet.
Yeah, you just had a snippet of the highlights.
I had a snip of the highlights. From your experience watching the game live, what did you think went wrong for Northern Phoenix there? Or was Heidelberg just too good on the day?
Look, Heidelberg had some great players come in, some great Japanese players, and I think they've played top-level Japanese football. And they were dominant. They looked like they were having fun. There was one point where a player was getting triple-teamed, and she's just smiling as she dribbles the ball past all three of them. I've never seen anything like that composure in my life. She was phenomenal. Those two players that came through, I'll have to get the names later, but they were stars. I think that Northern Phoenix definitely had a chance to do something in that game. It didn't quite work. There was a major mistake at the end of the game from the goalkeeper, Emma Olsen. Unfortunately, drops the ball, and with that kind of the momentum is killed for the team. So she's not one to do something like that. It was actually quite an interesting observation, but they'll look to bounce back next week. That was the game that perhaps you thought, hey, they can finally get their win. But at the moment, I don't know where they're going to pick up points.
I still think there's a lot of promise, at least what they have. They're looking like a different squad to what they were a couple of weeks ago, I still think. Obviously, dropping points to a Thornbury does hurt, but I don't think it's the be-all, end-all. They've looked a bit more impressive. We do like it. I'm not a big fan of their coach coming in targeting two uneducated nuffies after the game, Tyler. I was listening to that. I heard it all.
Nah.
Not a fan of that, mate.
You didn't like it?
You're on fraud watch at the moment.
I'm in for a lot of heat in the week. Is there anything you'd like to address?
Not really. You've got two uneducated nuffies talking about you on a podcast. It doesn't really affect you mentally. They've never played the game at a level or coached at a level. Well, their opinion really means nothing, so it doesn't really matter to me at all.
I just worry about coaching, Tyler. Don't get attached by us. I'm going to call it as it is, because he's all worried about what we're saying. Get some results, and then you can be a bit more aggressive.
Wow, that's some big statements.
Because the girls are doing their hard work. Coach go do the work as well.
Wow. Oh my goodness. Tyler Lewis been called out by the one uneducated nuffy. I thought it was quite funny from him to come up there in the interview and address that. I suppose it must have really gotten on his nerves, and so
Getting it even more.
I'll
get it even more.
At the end of the day, you're trying to spark a result and spark some type of drive for them. You know, you're not just saying things because you want to annoy people. You want to spark a reaction. You want to see, hey, how is he going to take what we said and prove us wrong? He hasn't quite done it yet.
No, but
I'm sure he will.
You can see the passion he shows as well. He's one of the most passionate coaches we have in WSFV, I think. And he shows that both on and off the court.
Yes.
And he shows it on his girls. But I think they've moved in the right direction. They're that close to getting the results they want to see. It's that one or two mistakes during the game that ends up costing them from sharing the points, winning, to then dropping all three.
Yeah, no captain as well. Annabelle Mergianos not there to play for Northern Phoenix. So obviously that must have taken a toll in the way that the team operated. She's obviously a big part of that team and a conduit for their kind of harmony on the benches. So again, that's probably part to play. They'll have to come into next week, or this week rather, and show that they can indeed pick up some points somewhere. We're still waiting for them to pick up, I think, another win. It's only one win?
Yes. Well, let's have a look at the fixtures this week. We have, first up, it is Melbourne AQ facing Northern Phoenix. So it'll be a tough challenge for Northern Phoenix this week.
No Jess Al,
but look, if Northern Phoenix can compete against Arku, that's what you'd like to see as a coach. Compete against them. Don't get blown out. I think that's a win for them. But I'm going to go Arku. I think even without no Jess Al, I think they're still too strong. They're top of the table for a reason.
Yeah, I have to agree with you.
And then,
do you want to score position, or do you want
yeah, let's go. I'm going to predict. Let's go. I'm going to go 4-2. 4-2.
I'm going to have to say 6-1. 1.
Yeah, okay.
6-1.
Now, probably the match of the round. We'll put it here. Fitzroy against Western United.
No for Scalzo.
No for Scalzo. Are we going to see Rebecca back this week?
Surely.
You'd hope
Surely.
so. Especially in a game with this magnitude. Pretty much whoever wins this game probably will go to second. Or stay second.
Yeah,
big game on the line
it's a
for both
massive
teams.
game, and Rebecca Davies has a point to prove again. She did get invited to the training camp, so that was great.
Yes.
She didn't make the qualifying squad for this upcoming tournament in China, and we'll touch on that soon. She has a point to prove on playing the game, getting back to her best form, so that she can once again make a push to the national team. If it's this tournament, this World Cup, or perhaps the next one, or any type of cap that she can get, she definitely deserves to play for the country, deserves to wear the colours. So there's a lot to prove, not just for Western United as a team, who just picked up a draw, so did Fitzroy, but for Rebecca Davies individually.
Yep. Who have you got winning this game?
It's going to be... I think when you lose for Scalzo, that's tough. And Rebecca Davies is such a player. She'll probably be very... She's one of those people who, when it gets tough, she performs at a high level. So I have to say, I'm going to go for Western.
I'm with you. In a close game, I'm going to a 3-2 victory.
Yeah,
for Western.
something very close. I have to agree. Very, very close.
Then we have Carlton Heart versus Heidelberg United. This one will go on quickly. I think it's going to be Carlton. They've probably been the shock of the season this year. They're going under the bus. They've gotten a nice draw last week against Western United. I'm going to get them to win over Heidelberg here.
I think I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to go for a Carlton win. Yep. I think that they have a really good squad. They fight hard, and then Heidelberg can sometimes, again, exhibit some tendencies that allow them to go down early, and which really results in a difficult game to come back from, particularly a Carlton Heart side that's actually very good defensively.
And then finally, we've got Eastern 1-0 against Thornbury United.
Banger.
Could be an interesting game. We don't know. Carlton have shown... Eastern 1-0 have shown promise at times. Again, we love the goalkeeper. She's a star for her age. Nice young squad. But I think Thornbury are going to be a bit too much here.
I think I'm going to go and be a devil's advocate, and I think I'm going to say 1-0 is going to win this game.
I would love to see it. I think it would be great to see them get some points. I just think Thornbury have been very good for the last couple of weeks. Coached well, great goalkeeper. I'm going to go, it's a 2-1 I'm going for. It's not going to be a big win, 2-1 for Thornbury.
I'm going to go 3-1, 1-0.
Lovely.
It depends. It really depends who plays,
Yes.
obviously, because if you have Quinn Ewan play, she's the superstar, one of my favourite players in the league. And if 1-0 bring a few pieces here, Nouri is very good, and that they have a lot of players that have become really good role players. They just haven't got the job done. They haven't played particularly bad though, so I think they can get the job done here.
Yeah. And then before we move on from the women's, let's briefly touch on, we've got 2 players representing Australia in the futsal rules for the women's.
Yes.
Over in China, is it at the moment? China. We've both got Claudia Fassalzo and Jess Au. Great to see representation for our women's on the national level from our league. We wish them all the best over there. I think they're playing Chinese Taipei and Uzbekistan for the World Cup qualifiers. If they finish top of the group, they will be going to the World Cup.
I believe that's the case. That's from so yeah, they have to beat China, Uzbekistan, who they have beaten already. I did watch that game, I think earlier on this year, and was it Chinese Taipei?
Yeah.
So I'm actually not sure about the quality of the Chinese squad or the Chinese Taipei squad, but again, I know the quality of those 2 players. Very high, very, very impactful players, club, country. I mean, it's absolutely fantastic that we can have and bear witness to a new generation and the first generation of female athletes in futsal representing the country.
Yes, and would love to see him get the chockies here and go to the World Cup, represent us on the world stage. Would be a phenomenal achievement. Not just for the girls, but for their clubs and the whole league in itself. So we're wishing the girls all the best over in China at the moment, and to get some points here and bring it home for Australia.
And you think about this too, what's so special about this group is it's the first. So no matter what happens in the future, 50 years down the line, futsal is a massive sport, or futsal is a, whatever level it's at, whoever's playing at that time, if you're a woman, a young girl, you can always look back to this moment, and those players, Friscalzo, Chessau, they're going to be on the list.
They're the first.
Well, they're gonna be. They have not just a duty to perform well, but a duty to inspire the next generation of athletes. Because
100%.
this is the focal point for the future to say we were the first to do this.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of responsibility, and I have to say there's no one better than those two girls to bestow that responsibility on.
Correct. So good luck, girls. Bring on the chockies, and we'll be making sure we support you back from Australia.
So yeah, you're probably wondering what happened here.
We'll switch positions. I'm now Josh.
My mic went flat.
Can I make funny commissioner decisions now that I'm in this seat?
Do I make funny commissioner decisions?
Of course you do.
Like what?
Where do I start? You let Adam Palombi be a commentator.
Adam Plum is the GOAT commentator here.
Oh, I reckon Ethan Riggs going to run for his money now.
Ethan Rigg is an up-and-comer, but you can't deny what Adam Palombi has done for Series Futsal.
He's shit on podcasts, I'll tell you that stuff.
Oh, cut. Hold on.
Oh, you used it.
Wait.
Shit on podcasts?
No, we're taking it back. That's the yellow guy. He's not bad on podcasts.
Nah.
He's not Adam Palombi, the commentator on podcasts. But he's not a bad
He's a people pleaser is what he is.
No, he's fine on podcasts.
Okay, I'll take that. But we put the question out to the viewers and followers of the Series Futsal on Instagram to send in your questions for the podcast. And while Josh is rummaging through to find the questions, we're looking forward to hearing some of these questions, and we'll try and answer them as truthfully and
honestly as possible.
That's the word I was looking for, honestly.
Definitely honestly.
We're not here to cause fights. That's why, Adam, it was just a joke.
All right, so we got one. I'm not going to tell you who they're from.
Anonymous.
It's all anonymous. This is the first question. Why is funding so limited in futsal?
I feel like it's the case for most sports. It's the more viewership you get, the more money obviously is going to be funding. So the first way to gain more funding for these people, at least from viewership and getting people to put money into it, is increasing the viewership, finding ways to grow it, to get more viewers, get more people coming to games. But then we're also relying on obviously public funding from the government and also stuff like that. So it's trying to balance the evil of two odds to try and see, are you funding from viewership, or is you going to try and get more money from the government funding, stuff like that? Yeah,
I think at the same time, when you're in such a saturated market like Melbourne, sporting-wise, there's obviously a lot more difficulty in finding funding because it's so dominated by these sports that have a monopoly. It's AFL, even at a grassroots level, it just has such a monopoly. Outdoor soccer.
Yeah, especially competing against the outdoor soccer when you're thinking about football in a whole, everyone thinks, outdoor. Futsal normally gets put in the back burner at times.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think at the same time, you also need to consider the role of the clubs in funding. They need to go out there and search for funding. I don't think many clubs do that to a high enough level that they possibly could. They find sponsors and that's great, but they need to find a way to intertwine that with grants and becoming leaders at a grassroots level so that they can, of course, provide their own kind of funding. So, do you know what I mean? So, hey, can I bring in these youth players? They pay to play. It's obviously a lot cheaper than outdoor. And that can then fund my squad.
Yep.
That can then fund my game fees. That can fund perhaps going in a long shot to getting a centre for ourselves. Once you have your own, kind of base, it's much easier to then lift off from that point as a club. You need a spot where people can connect.
Yeah.
People can come in and they can buy into the identity of your club. So I think funding starts from obviously looking for those grants as a league, but also individually clubs have a responsibility to seek those out in the betterment of their own future. Yeah,
it's always, especially like you said, in the saturated market, it's so hard to be able to try and fund funding, and the hardest thing is just getting up and then going from there. So there's obviously opportunities. We're just got to try, as futsal in itself, look for these avenues to be able to get more funding, and then we can hopefully go from there.
Okay, we got this next question here. a State League Championship team or players you think can compete in Series Futsal or could be picked up by a Series Futsal team?
I think there's a couple, probably about, I'd say 5 or so maybe.
Really?
I wouldn't say there'd be many.
Western City for me.
Western City are a club that
Good
can
enough.
definitely compete up. They were in it the season before they got relegated. But I wouldn't say they're probably the only team. Look, I think if South Melbourne were to go up, they could compete. I wouldn't say they would get many points.
You reckon South Melbourne could compete in Series
I
Futsal?
think they could be at the same level as Carlton.
I'll put that back. I'll put that back. Fair enough.
I think they might be able to
Is Carlton
show
competing,
glimpses.
mate? Is Carlton competing?
They can show glimpses. I think they'll be able to come up it.
Okay,
I think
they would need significant
yes,
contribution.
upgrades. I think there's a big, like I said, there's a big difference. But there's players from those teams who could be able to come up.
Oh, 1,000,000%. Yeah, I think definitely GS Delatano is a good player for South Melbourne. There's another one, Jonathan Sapina. He's a gun, man. What a play! He's tall. He's good on the ball. You know, defensively he's okay, but great goal scorer for South Melbourne. And South Melbourne was a team that when they came up, everyone's like, South Melbourne, they're not going to do anything in the State League Championship. Bang.
A second.
Who
knows? But yeah, I think Western City are probably the team that could do it. I'm not saying they're going to make top 4.
Yeah.
They can compete.
Okay, we have this next question here. I can't answer.
We're going to skip over that one.
I can't ask that one. No, I will. Okay. How long could Josh last in an SFE game until everyone knows he's a fraud?
Ooh.
I'll tell you this. You give me 6 months, hard training, dedication. Every single day I'm out there with Andre Caro, Aaron Yu. I just might give you 20 seconds.
A long time.
I might give you 20 seconds running up and down. You're only going to concede at most 2 goals.
I think if you didn't give yourself if we didn't have you play an offensive role and you just stayed on the court, tried to move around and tried to defend, I'd give you a minute max.
A minute. That's so generous.
That you're not touching the ball offensively. You're just there to try and defend.
Could you imagine? No, wait. Could you imagine like Scott Rogan running at me?
Yeah, but it's not like you're not going to be the only one defending him. They're going to be have a bit of help.
They're going to need.
Just don't give him the ball offensively, and you might be able to survive.
Honestly, give me the ball offensively. I'll boot it down, waste about 10 seconds.
Okay, get a shot up. See, I'm done.
That's my Series Futsal debut done.
We're putting this in the world. He's not lasting on the SFE court. He's not even lasting on a championship court.
I'm not lasting on a State League 2 court. Okay, let's get that straight. This is not
Josh
happening.
is the commissioner for a reason. He's not playing. He's off the field, and that's the reason why.
I'll tell you what, though. Monday night social league team.
I'll put this out. I'm a better futsal player than you, and I'm terrible at futsal.
All right, let's move on to the next question here. Has futsal in Victoria fallen off since Thomastown closed down?
Well, it's only been one season, or not even half a season.
I think it's really harsh. I think it's just recency bias. At the end of the day, anyone who's actually on the futsal journey and likes the sport, loves the sport, and wants it to succeed, isn't going to look at a minor setback and let that determine how all the futsal is falling off. I mean, look, again, I'll throw back to, we have women's Series Futsal and women's players going to a World Cup. We have futsaroos coming to play in Series Futsal. International Thailand players coming down. We're at the highest reach of our social media presence ever. We got 1 million views this month, so we're doing things that are excelling, and of course, Thomastown is a good base, but I think that with Brunswick kind of getting revamped, that will become the base once again. Something else will open up. Futsal hasn't fallen off. It's just simply too soon to say a statement like that.
Every league and organisation goes through challenges and difficulties. This is just one that we are having to face as a Series Futsal and as Futsal Oz, but we always overcome them. It's just a little speed bump in the road ahead. There will be light at the end of the tunnel.
Now here's an interesting question. Okay, has Peluso's performance put Russo's position as a starting forward player in doubt? That is an absolutely wow.
Big wow.
I think he actually came off the bench.
Peluso? Yeah, I think.
No.
Russo, he did, yes.
Russo, not Cooper.
I think it's early. It's one game. Yes, Peluso had a great game, but I don't think one game is going to make such a big decision. Yes, Cosimo hasn't had the greatest season that he's probably hoped he wanted to have. I think he was hoping himself he would be able to perform a bit more better than he is. But I'd want to see more games from Peluso and Cosimo before a decision is made.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you. I think what Cosimo Russo's done in the league needs to stand as a really good basis for him going forward. Because at the end of the day, you don't take a player that's at his level, who's won MVPs, top scorers, scored in the biggest moments. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can't throw that all away because some recent form he's not scoring goals. He's not actually playing that bad. He is a good player.
Yes.
He's just not putting the ball in the back of the net at the rate that he usually does. And at the end of the day, there's a lot of changes in that Fitzroy squad. So he's got a lot of younger players that he has to look to implementing his play style with and interplaying with them. They are not as heavily stacked as they were last season. Michael Nguyen's left. They've brought in a few players that haven't quite gelled, and they've brought in, obviously they've lost Josh Allen as well. So there's a lot of players missing from the Fitzroy squad. Cosimo Russo is a good player. I hope that he gets back to his best, because at his best he is, like his name suggests, cosmic. He's fantastic.
Well, I think now that Peluso is at Fitzroy, it's going to put more pressure on Cosimo to perform, and he's going to want himself to then say, no, I'm the better player out of the two of us, I should be starting ahead of him. And it's going to make for entertaining football, because both of them are going to try and play as best they can, and who knows what can happen.
Yeah, and again, I think once the ball goes in the back of the net for Cosy, it'll be game on.
All it takes is one.
Yeah, and again, with a player like that, you can't be too harsh, because you have to say, look what he's done in the past, give him the benefit of the doubt, let him adjust. He is that player, he is that good. And, at his best, he's one of my favourite players to watch. So
he's entertainment.
Yeah, he's efficient entertainment, and up front he can be deadly. So, yeah. Would Phoenix be better off if Ben Cullen was coaching in the championship?
Ooh.
That is a harsh question. That is a ridiculous question.
I don't know if I want to answer that question.
Look, Ben is probably more experienced as a coach than Joe.
He is.
In terms of, like, he's done it at he's reffed. Joe's obviously been one of the better refs that Series Futsal ever had. But, I think I've seen Ben Cullen coach younger age groups and been more in the development of younger players than Joe has. He's got probably more hands-on experience. So is that unfair to say? Probably not. That's a really tough question. I'm going to let you have that.
Don't bring it on me.
I can't answer that question.
I don't even want to answer it either. I think it's whoever's put this question in, you just want to see knives thrown and see where they land.
Some people want to see the world burn.
Oh, I hate this question in general. Look, it's a tough one, because we know Phoenix have not been performing well in the championship. Is it on the players? Is it on the coach? That's the question being asked. Look, I don't think it would be a major difference, but I don't think it's fair to assume that question is what I'm going to say.
Okay. This is probably the last one here. Most underperforming player this season.
Ooh, underperforming. As in, are we saying they're not performing to what they usually are? Is that what we're saying?
I think that's what we're saying.
So is that, or is they sort of going under the radar? Underperforming.
That's a really tough question.
Are we going to do one for each, or are we just going to go just for SFE?
They won the most underperforming player this season.
I'm not gonna. I don't think I can answer this because I haven't seen
I
what
can't
they
answer
have
this
for
question.
recently.
I can't answer this
Because
question.
this is my first season watching SFE. I don't think I can make a judgment off what I've heard because I haven't seen how players have played.
Underperforming. Look, I got to give the people an answer, I guess. I can't sit here and not answer a question. It's very difficult. Underperforming. That's so tough. Please cut. Please cut this. What the hell do I answer?
I don't like the question at all.
Most underperforming player. Underperforming. Oh my God. I can't answer that question.
We'll just leave it at that. Maybe we can let the viewers in the comments tell us who you think is the most underperforming player this season, because we're stumped here.
Like, I think it's trying to tease it towards someone from Fitzroy.
Again, you guys want to see the world burn.
I can't answer that. It's too tough of a
You guys can
question.
answer it. We don't want to answer this.
That's tough. Nah, I can't do that. There's too many of them.
Oh!
Too many of them. That's what we'll go with that. They want some controversy. They can have that. There's too many of them.
Is it the right one? No. That's a... Oh, I'm getting there. That's a yellow. That's a yellow for that call. There is not that many underperforming.
Let me get out of this situation.
I'll give that to get you out of it. That's a yellow. There's not that many. But
Please keep continuing to send in your questions.
we
will answer them every week.
not those questions though. We
That's
don't want to cause fire to explode.
I'm in a good mood. Here's the problem: if they had caught me on a day where I'm not in a good mood, maybe you would have got an answer that you would have liked. But today I'm in a great mood.
Look at him being nice and happy, the commissioner.
I'm pretty happy. Honestly, it's been a good day. It's been sunny. It's been pretty good. Good content coming out. So,
Yes.
I'm in a happy mood. We won't answer that question today, but hey, you might get me. Depends.
Came on a bad day.
Okay. So I guess that's it.
That's
it.
Wrapped it up. Good.
That's it. It's a quick podcast. We will be back next week. Sorry for the 2-week hiatus, but there's this little thing called Easter and
Anzac Day.
Anzac Day, and I don't think I could have released a podcast that sent any bit of controversy during those 2 breaks. So hopefully everyone enjoyed their break. Futsal coming this week. Any last comments, Ethan?
I want to see some interesting games this week. So let's see the players come out here and cause absolute mayhem on the court and provide some belters.
Absolutely. It's the Series Futsal Podcast. I don't know what episode it is. Something. Stay humble.
Bye for now.